True. Welcome to the 13 Wishes podcast, where we bring you conversations with the minds driving innovation, impact, and change. Today, we're thrilled to welcome a visionary leader whose work is transforming the shipping and logistics landscape across the globe. Liji is the founder and CEO of Odax, India's pioneering digital platform for shipping and documentation and payments. With over 2 decades of experience in the maritime and logistics sector, Liji has been instrumental in streamlining one of the most traditional paper-heavy industries into a scalable, secure, and digital fast solution. Under her leadership, Odax has grown into a trusted platform used by thousands of stakeholders in the shipping industry. But Liji's journey isn't just about tech, it's about vision, resilience, and building systems that make global trade faster, smarter, and more efficient. In this episode, we dive into her story, the challenges she tackled, and the future she envisions for digital logistics. So sit back and get ready to be inspired by a trailblazer who I personally absolutely admire and her future and the future of trade. Liji, welcome.
Thank you, Abida. And I think you were very, very kind with the introduction. It's been very positive. It's something that I don't think I ever could write a bio like that. So thank you for that. That was really nice. And it's good to meet up with you after a long time.
After a long
I
time,
must
yes.
say that
Been too
Abida
long.
Thompson happens to be one of the most hardworking and inspiring women that I have met. Bringing change from inside is often more difficult than bringing change from outside. And
Outside.
she's great at doing that. I think that's something that I have to give you, Abida.
Thank you. Thank you. That means so much, especially coming from you. So, my first question is about your early life. Did you know as a child that you would have been a CEO of such a successful business right now?
No, I wanted to drive a bus actually as a child.
What? Okay. Wow.
That was, in fact, in India, we have buses, and then we have what we call as conductors on a bus,
Okay.
whose main job is to issue at that time paper tickets. So this was the late 80s when I was growing up in Mumbai, and they would also announce where it was going to, where the bus was going to, and they had
Okay.
a string with which they would pull a bell. And it was my dream to be able to do that or drive a
Oh,
bus, announce the
okay.
next stop, get people in. He seemed very authoritative, and it seemed like a great job to have. So that was my dream, to be very honest, as a child.
Wow.
Yes, but yes, home was great because my father has been an entrepreneur for over 40 years now, and we kind of saw him go through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship.
Okay. Okay.
And mom was always inspiring. Her job was to hold the family together when he was traveling or he was building a business, which
Okay.
the initial years are always tough. So we've
Yes.
seen that. I had a ringside view of what it takes to build an organization. I didn't realize it at that time, but sometimes as a kid, if you have the right kind of environment, you just tend to soak in it and you become like a sponge. You kind of
Yes.
you learn a lot and you learn everything, the good, the bad, the ugly
Yeah.
that can happen. So we've seen it all. We've seen the tough days when I think dad was struggling to get his business off the ground. So this was early 80s. He started in 1981, and
Okay.
we've also seen the good days. So I think it took him 5 or 6 years to kind of get things off the ground, but then we've also seen life improve. Uh, so taught us about the the importance of hard work for sure, and the importance of having a vision and persisting and driving towards that vision. I think that came early on, definitely.
Yes.
But my dream definitely was nowhere near.
What you ended up doing. Resonate with the childhood part and growing up with a business because my parents had a business, so I saw the struggles. And I felt at that time that I was like a sacrifice, like they chose the business and the success of the business over me. So I saw what it takes. So yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because a lot of the ugly
Yeah.
comes with it too.
It's not easy, but it's enlightening actually of the kind of sacrifices that somebody who's an entrepreneur has to make and has to be willing to make, that is. So
Yes.
as a child, you're always complaining, dad is absent, he's not around. But in retrospect, we also realize that the moments when he was around, And when he would talk about, he was always talkative. So that was one good thing about him. So he would talk about, what happened on a particular day, or how difficult it was to land a contract, or what are the technical challenges he's facing. We probably didn't get half of it growing up, but kind of in retrospect, it makes a lot of difference to see that somebody else has made the journey before you. So that's
Of
where it is.
course. And if they can do it, you could do it too.
Yes, that was what we thought.
What motivates you every day when you wake up in the morning? What drives you as a person? What do you want to accomplish in life pretty much? So I kind of combine in two questions. What is like what motivates you in the mornings, and what is the legacy that you want to leave in this world?
I'll be
I
very
know it's
candid.
two
I'm a very
questions.
spiritual person.
Me too.
Um, and I've always had this thing that when you are put on earth, you are supposed to do good in the world.
Yes.
Now, that to the best of your abilities. And when you say good in the world, it could mean many things to many people. It could be being associated with non-profits. It could mean by being just kind to people around you. Or it could mean that you have to live up to your highest potential. And I think it's the first time I'm actually articulating that, what motivates me every day. When I wake up and I pray, I feel that if I were to meet my maker tomorrow and I'm asked a question by her, hopefully, that what did you do?
Mhm.
And if my answer is that I was born, I studied, I went to school, I got up, I got married, had a had a kid, ate some good food, traveled around the world, and then I died, that's not the answer. I think I will be sent back to say that you got to live up to your highest potential. And I think that is a great motivation. When you wake up in the morning and you pray and you look at what you have to go towards. I have to go to office, definitely, for sure. But I also have to look at where my son is going, where my family is going, and being able to do your best and sleep at night saying that, okay, I probably did 90% of the best that I could have done today. I think that's good.
Yeah, I learned that.
It's very funny you ask this question because it's been so difficult to articulate. But yeah, this is what motivates me. Get up in the morning and say that if I were to go tomorrow, then have I done the best that I've done in my life?
I've learned only recently to write, like when you go to sleep at night right before, I actually appreciate myself. Like, you did a good job today. You can rest now. And you would not believe that actually helps. So yeah, you're
Yes, it
onto
does.
something there.
Yes, it does. I think I learned it over the last 10 years to do that. Otherwise, my husband actually says there's a joke that he always says that when you wake up in the morning and you have decided to be an entrepreneur and found a company, then you have to show up every day. You don't have a choice.
You don't
And
have a
some
choice.
days, if I feel, you are not, I don't feel like getting up and going to work, then he will tell me that, you know what, your job is like that of a school principal. You have to show up.
You
You
have
cannot
no,
afford not to show up.
yeah.
Yes. But over the last 10 years, it has changed. I have kind of realized that, yes, this is what I like doing, and I have to do the best that I can.
Yes. Because in your case too, as a CEO, you have other people looking up to you within your organization and looking for guidance.
Yes. Yes. It says that's one part of it. But it
Okay.
is also that you have been given this incredible opportunity
Yeah.
to bring change, to help an industry. And honestly, how many people get this chance? And I feel deeply, deeply grateful every day morning that we were there, me and Vinay, at the right time, at the right place, and we decided to work hard to get here. But the fact remains that we got the opportunity,
You
and
got the
I'm
opportunity.
incredibly grateful.
Yes.
I think it's a matter of gratitude for us more than pride that we got the opportunity to work with incredible people.
Yes.
So even as a CEO, yes, I am conscious that there would be people looking up to you. But I
Hmm.
think what I'm more conscious of is that it's a privilege to work with the set of people that I work with.
Yeah.
And thankfully at Odex, there have been people who have stayed for a long time. You know, Rishabh,
I know.
he's
Of course, yeah.
he's been around for more than 5 years, 6 years now, and I've watched him grow. It's very satisfying to see where people started to where they are confidently going out and
Yes.
building something.
Yes.
And I have many such stories where I have watched. my team members grow. I have watched my industry colleagues grow, and they continue to inspire. It's a
You
two-way
watch
street.
me too. You actually watch me grow
Absolutely,
too.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's a two-way street actually. You watch your team members grow, and you also are not always, but sometimes conscious that what you do, what you stand for, makes a difference in somebody else.
Yeah. Yes. What I know being a CEO has a lot of challenges. So what, sorry, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. My daughter is sending texts and it's, okay, I'm sorry.
It just
She's right.
stings.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So one question that I do have for you is about internal challenges that you face, like internally as a CEO and with all of the issues you have to have like a mindset, a strong mindset. What internal battles do you face or that you had to overcome to be the person that you are now, to lead this organization and all of the challenges that come with it?
The very first one is to overcome your own ego because
That is so
when you start an organization, you are everything from the doorman to the CEO and everything
everything.
in between. And because we bootstrapped for a long time, for almost 8 years before the first investment came in. And during those 8 years, we also had co-founders whom we bought out. So me and my brother, we bought out our co-founders. So that leaves you with very little room and very little money to experiment. So the first thing that goes out of the window is ego. So you have to be nice to the customer. You also have to be very, very nice to your team members and to everybody you meet along the way. So that was the first learning. I have worked with great organizations. I worked with Fortune 500 companies. I worked with places where process was well defined. You had a hierarchy, and then you jump in and do something crazy like a startup, and that's completely different. You have no template. You have no roadmaps. You have an idea and you have a couple of teammates who have come together. And then we
Yeah.
say, okay, you're going to be CEO. So you tell us what to do. So the second thing that comes is, oh my God, now that's a lot of responsibility for me. So the second one, and I think a lot of us talk about it, the imposter syndrome. That is real.
Yeah.
You,
Doing this podcast is a huge one for me, so that resonates definitely. Sorry.
yes. So that is real. That is real every single week. I think every single day it no longer is there. But the imposter syndrome, that the noises in your head that say that you got lucky,
Yeah.
you don't deserve this.
Yeah.
You were just there at the right time. You just had the right team members. And to quieten that voice, actually, and then to perform is difficult.
Yeah.
So yes, that's been the biggest of my struggles, to be very honest. How do you deal with it? I think one of the things that I deal with is by I have a whiteboard in my study, which where I list down all the things that have to be done for the year. But that also helps me kind of tick off saying that okay, these are the projects where my contributions have made things possible. What you said, to be kind to yourself at night before you go to bed and say that, okay, you did. So that's important. So that's the only way to shut the voice in your head. So, ego and imposter syndrome have been two things that I have consistently dealt with. The third one is balance. I think for whatever it is worth, women still remain primary emotional caregivers,
Yes.
if not the primary caregiver. So, while I've had a lot of help, parents, my husband and my mother-in-law, they have ensured that we brought up a well-rounded kid. But some things just fall to the mother. And I think that's the other one, finding that fine balance between being available for my son and between being available for my company. That's an everyday struggle. It's every single day. I mean, there are days when I will pause a meeting and say that I've got to pick up this call because your daughter is 18. You understand this.
Mhm.
You have to be there.
Yes. Have to. Yes.
Yes. And on the days when you have to pick up a call and saying that, can I call you back? And you're always worrying, was there something important? Was there something that I need to know now and not in an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's difficult.
That I think you answered another question about managing work-life balance. How do you when do you get time for yourself? Because you have the business, you have your family, you have your child. how do you find time for yourself? Because self-care is very important, right?
So
Do
I
you
think
find
there's
time
nothing
for
like for
yourself?
that's what I was thinking. So my idol of all times has been Indira Nooyi at Pepsi. And I think
Okay.
one thing that resonates with me that what she said is there's nothing like a work-life balance. It's a myth, but you still have to steal time for yourself.
Yes.
So I think the good thing has been for the past 25 years, consistently, every day morning, I do breath work and meditation. That's like half an hour to 45 minutes, non-negotiable. That helps. That's the
Yes.
one time where you just drop everything. You drop work, you drop family, you drop responsibilities, and just say that this 45 minutes
It's
are
me.
non-negotiable. Yeah.
Yes, it's my time. Yes.
And yeah. And I've been doing this since 2000, so 25 years exactly, July, and it has helped. It is absolutely essential finding that time for yourself so that when you go out in the world, you are a much calmer and a much stronger person, I feel. The ability to sit quietly in the morning and just be with yourself and like yourself. I have a lot of my friends tell me that they can't sit with their eyes closed. And I tell them it's not so tough. But I think I also understand that sometimes the ability to be with yourself is the greatest gift that you have.
Yeah.
And to acknowledge that you're a good person, you'll get through this, girl, is a big thing. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
helps.
That self-talk is very important.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
very, yeah. What has, with your experience as a woman in a male-dominated industry, how was that? How was that like?
So
Yeah, I have to ask that
I
question.
now I'm trying to be very polite about the industry that I'm in now. Okay, I will go for candid. I think that's better. So
Yeah.
I started my career with AC Nielsen. I went to P school. I completed my MBA in 96. And my first job was at AC Nielsen. The second was at AkzoNobel in their pharmaceutical division. So these were all global companies, Fortune 500 companies, and gender did not matter. So and then so I never thought about gender
Yeah.
until I came to logistics. Which was
Until, yeah.
so what really happened is that in 2009, me and my brother and a friend of his, we founded a software solutions company. None of us were from logistics. I came in from business consulting. My brother was from IT. He worked for SAP that time, and his friend used to work for IBM in business process. So none of us had any experience of logistics. What we knew is to how to build a technology solution. And when we started building a solution for one of India's largest logistics service providers, we saw the amount of paper and we were like, come on, this is 2009 and you are still sending paper and you're still sending
Hmm.
people through rain, it is difficult. It's difficult
Yeah.
going to counters, submitting 5 copies of everything, and so on and so forth. And people just thought that it was normal. For us, it was it is blasphemy that you can't even thinking of another way. And I remember being in a room full of 18 men. I was the only woman there. And I'm the CEO, I'm the founder. For whatever it is worth, it was my vision to build Odex. And a lot of the men there would just talk to my co-founder. They would just refuse to acknowledge you. And I would speak and they would answer my co-founder. And I was like, hey, what's wrong? I'm here. Can you see me? This it was really strange, Abida, because I had never experienced this before. Because I have been in senior management positions, I have been in male-dominated industries like pharmaceuticals, where I have been probably the only woman or one of two women in a room full of men. But I've never seen this happen. I had never seen that you could be unseen, and this was very
Yes.
strange, you know,
Yeah.
to have experienced that. That kind of stuck in my head. This was 2014, which is quite recent. It's only 11 years old. But the good thing also was that I found a few good mentors and a few good friends who also happened to be men, but for whom gender did not matter. The fact that you had a vision, and more importantly, you came and said that the best word that you can hear, hey, you can save some money. I think that made a lot of difference. And
That's
they
what
also taught me
everybody
what I
likes
know
to
about
hear.
logistics. Yeah, that's what everybody likes to hear. I
Yeah.
think the moment you say that, two magic sentences, I can make you money, but I can save you money. I think
Yes.
if you are able to get that message across, then gender stops mattering. But
Yes.
the first 2 years were spent in learning how not to be invisible. And that took effort. Things have changed. Things have changed in the last 11 years. I feel
Yes.
that HAPAG is doing a lot of work on diversity and inclusion.
Yes. Very
I used
much.
to always, yeah, I think in my former life, when I was working for consulting or pharmaceutical companies or in business strategy, it never occurred to me that you needed to have active programs to identify and nurture talent in women. I never felt that need because I think these industries had already evolved and things were, at least in India and the Middle East, where I'm now based, things were much more equal. Logistics was an eye opener. And then I got associated with an organization called Vista. It is Women in Shipping and Technology. And they're a global organization. I started out in India, where the purpose of the organization is to boost women and their visibility in logistics. Actively, we started doing that. And so, a friend of mine, she's now with IMO and she does a lot of work, very inspirational woman, Sanjam Gupta. And I see, I mean, when I came into logistics, I didn't even realize there was a need to do something like this.
Yeah.
But now I firmly believe in that cause because we have seen that women get overlooked for promotions. You are not given a chance, you're not given the right kind of opportunities. And we have been able to do is to say that, okay, if there's an opportunity, can we nudge a woman to take it? Go take it, go take it. When I was building Odex, I never thought of gender, to be very honest. I I feel that that is the space we have to reach. That talent should matter, and gender is incidental. But unfortunately, that's not true in logistics. It is changing. It's changed a lot in the last 10 years.
It has
I think we still
changed.
have some way to go.
I think we still have a long way to go. That's why I asked that question,
Yeah.
because I think it's very important that people know that it exists and don't assume that it doesn't, because it does.
I was in shock, Abida, when this happened,
Yeah.
2014. That I was like, this is 2014. This is not 1914. Hello. I mean,
Mhm.
it was, and this happened in India, which was all the more surprising for me because we have had a culture of having women in positions of power and authority. So to be unseen was really, really strange.
Mhm. Yes, I agree, and I can resonate with that. That's why it it's something that it's a cause that I think I'm 100% behind. I've joined within my company, Hapag Lloyd. I've joined the Women's Inspire group. It's a committee to push women's empowerment and causes. So I am very big in that, because I've seen firsthand things that happen. And even though they try to make it seem like it doesn't exist, it still does. It still does. We did come a long way, but I think we do have a long way to go still.
Okay.
What leadership traits do you believe that are essential for women now? Like for in an office, what would you tell your team members that these are good skills to that they should be working on and developing?
I think that's an easy one. Whether men or women, I think the first and the most important thing has to be empathy. That you have to be empathetic. You have
Definitely.
to have the ability to see that what is going to influence your organization's culture. And that will only come if you're able to put yourself in your team member's place and say that, okay, how do we work things together? My mentor once told me, my coach actually, he told me that collaboration doesn't come very easily to people. And your biggest challenge is to build collaboration. So I think the two things that a leader has to have is empathy and the ability to build collaboration in teams. I think the
Yes.
rest will follow. You have a vision. Your only job is to align people to that vision and get them to achieve it. You're not doing anything because without them, you really are helpless.
That's true.
And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
these are the only two traits I feel that leaders should focus on.
Was there a moment where you thought of giving up? And was there what kept you going? Because I'm sure there's a lot of times where you felt like giving up.
I think many times, just not only once. So we had a dispute with our co-founders. Me and my brother, when equity was being distributed, I had very democratic notions about equity. And even though I did an MBA and I have learned in textbooks that equity is expensive. Don't give it away. We made the decision that equity should be more equitably distributed and did not think of the consequences. So we were in
Yeah.
a situation where our co-founders wanted to leave or sell off their equity and sell it to potential competitors. And we had no choice but to take a decision on whether to quit or whether to buy. I think that was the toughest decision of my life, to choose to stay without having visibility of what happens next. I think that
Yeah.
that probably was the toughest decision. We made that decision. We had our families back us. That there are days at that uh, in those 8 or 9 months where I came very, very close to quitting. But I think what kept me going was the belief that once we get through this company can go places. It's not about us going places, but the
Yeah.
fact that this can go places. And we were right. In 2021, in 3 countries. In 2025, we are in 20 countries. And that really that played out well. We had belief, we got luck, we got support from the team at Odix, from the industry in India and Middle East, and our families, of course. So
Yes.
the other days when I really want to quit is when you feel that you're just too tired, you don't want to get up in the morning and go, and that's it.
Yes.
But those are not really the ones that worry me.
So, what advice would you give to people now who are starting up, whether they're building a business or trying to improve or move up in their career? What advice would you give to them?
The first is to figure out what makes you get up in the morning and want to do something, and which is very different from when people say follow your passion, because passion does not put food on the table. So that's often, I mean, I would want to be a singer, but if I'm a very bad singer and I don't get the opportunities, then there's no point of being wanting
Yes.
to be a singer. So, and I read this, I think, I'm not sure who said that, whether it was Ryan Peterson or one of the startup founders that I follow, resonated with me very closely, where he said that um, you might have a passion, but you might be good at something else. The most important thing is to find what you're good at. Like what
Yes.
I've found that I'm good at is not innovation, but actually execution. I think for me, the fact is that if I have a vision and I can make a blueprint to execute and I can stick at it and find people who will believe in that vision and execute, I think that
Yeah.
is my strength, the ability to execute and execute with limited resources. Somebody else's strength might be actually process. My strength is not process. I have always relied on Vinay and Rishabh and the team members to bring in process. I'm not the process person. So, but they are good at it and they are able to, get better at it as they grow. So I think the first and the most important thing is to find what you're good at. The second is, especially for women, to deal with imposter syndrome, because I see so many of my friends go through it and say that, oh, we got lucky, families were supportive, or etc., etc. But I think the first and most important thing is to stand up and say that I recognize what I'm good at, and now I'm willing to work towards it, and I deserve the success that I've got.
Yes,
I think
definitely.
that is the second thing, to be able to constantly believe in yourself and
One
say
of the
that
hardest things to do sometimes.
yes, it is.
Yeah. Because that self-talk, you have to change the negative into the positive, because it's not going to turn out well if you continue telling yourself, because the negativity keeps piling on after a while. Yeah.
Third is to find cheerleaders. This could be anybody. This could be your boss, your team member, your friends, your family, your spouse. But that's something that I have been blessed to have. And the last one, over the last 4 years that I've learned, I think at a certain age and space in your life, you should have a coach. My coach has helped me incredibly. He's helped me gain perspective. When your thoughts are all over the place, you have somebody whose experience and your wisdom you can rely on.
Yeah.
So I think that's that's very, very critical as you grow. That's, I think, for me, these four have worked, and and I've been incredibly grateful and blessed to have people around who have been so supportive.
Well, I'm going to be a little bit selfish and ask, what advice do you have for me? Because I respect you so much. So what advice do you have for me to continue and push ahead and, well, with this podcast, within my career?
I think I've seen you. I've seen you grow. When I met you, you were part of team. and
Yeah.
now you have transitioned to a larger role and process. One thing that I can clearly say is that you definitely have the talent and the courage to work for things. And it is, I kind of know how tough navigating large organizations can be. And you have managed to power through. That's a trait you should always rely on. And I think it comes from within you. It's not external. It's something that motivates you to get up and go to work and say that I can do better.
Every
Things could
day.
be better. I don't need to live with this, you know. My team doesn't need to live with this. My customers don't need to live with this. I think don't lose that. That's a spark that very few people have. To be very honest, it's a spark that so few people have. And that's a spark that makes you smile, right? At the end of the day or
Mhm.
at the end of the quarter and say that
Yeah.
you achieved something. I think that's the biggest advice, that keep that spark alive. And the second
Thank
is
you.
lean, you know. If you have self-doubts or if you have other doubts, which could be external, lean on someone who can help. Call me, call friends. That's
Okay.
absolutely anytime. That
I'll
is,
call you.
you know, it is absolutely welcome, because sometimes you just need somebody to listen to you.
Mhm.
I tell my husband this very often, and I tell him a lot of things, and he's learned it over the years. But sometimes, as spouses are meant to do, they start giving you advice, and I'll tell him, no, I don't need advice. I just need to listen right now. You know, when I need advice, I will tell you. So
Mhm.
sometimes just having somebody to listen to or bounce ideas off, I think that's important, and
Okay.
need not be within your company or within your family. I have this crazy habit. If I get an idea in my head, I will call up a couple of friends. So if it is banking, I have a friend. If it is logistics, I have a friend.
Okay.
If it is to do with my son, I have a friend. So they're used to that. They know that, if she's texted, she needs something. So and that's okay. I mean, I'm there for them, but equally they're there for me. I think that's important. So anytime you just need to bounce things off, call me. No problem.
Okay. Okay, good. I'll do that. I have one final question. If you could grant one wish to a person chasing their dream, what would it be?
If it's someone wanting to build a startup, then I would grant them opportunity with determination. That's, and even if
Opportunity.
it is not someone, determination,
I like that.
and I think it's true for everybody. I have this crazy spiritual idea that there are angels in the world and they whisper ideas in your ears because the idea is meant to be,
Yeah.
not because the idea is yours, but the idea is for the world. So when we speak about Odix, a lot of people tell us that, oh, I had the same idea. And that's where I was telling you that I feel incredibly blessed to have been given that opportunity and also the determination to pursue it. I think because most people lack the second part.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's the one wish.
Thank you so much for joining. It was such a pleasure talking to you and hearing your perspective on a lot of things, especially the spirituality part, because that's big with me.
Thank you,
I
Abida.
will definitely be calling you, so look out for that.
Absolutely. Anytime. Anytime.
And I can't wait for us to meet soon and chat in person soon.
Absolutely. And come down to Dubai, even if for a holiday. It's a nice place, especially winters. So get your daughter, get your
Okay.
family. I think you have
And
friends
come.
here.
Yeah, okay. Well, now I have friends in India and Dubai, definitely. So
Yes, absolutely.
thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abida. Have a nice
Don't
evening.
don't don't